everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Difficulty Settings. Today we're going to be talking to my friend Chantal, and we're going to be learning a little bit more about her experience with disability and what it means for her to be part of my support system. We're also going to be doing some art together, which I'm really excited to show, and we're going to be talking more about her hobbies and my hobbies. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and thank you so much for being here. Hello and welcome to Difficulty Settings episode 5. Today I'm with my best friend Chantal, and we are going to be doing a little bit of painting because that's a hobby that we share together, and because of that we're going to be talking about hobbies and what it means to be part of a support system. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here as well. What is your relationship to disability? Do you have one, and do you know people with disability?
Yeah, I do have some disabilities, and I know a few people with disabilities as well. Would you like me to talk about that?
Yeah,
yes, I guess that's why I'm here.
I was gonna just ask you, the next question was like, what kind of symptoms do you have, or what kind of things do you find challenging about it?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I deal a lot with chronic pain, particularly in my hands, my arms,
right.
And a lot of my hobbies have to do with my hands, like painting. So it can definitely be challenging.
Yeah.
I also get migraines, so that can affect my vision. Which
I know.
Yeah, you're familiar.
And how do you typically feel on like a normal day? Does your disability present itself every day, or does it come and go?
It definitely comes and goes. Right. There are periods of time when it is every single day is a hard day, right. And I need to work really hard to sort of work against my symptoms. Right now I'm in a pretty good period of time where, for the most part, my pain doesn't really get in the way of my day-to-day life. I can go to work and I can do my hobbies like painting and going to the gym. But there are also huge periods of time where I need to put my hobbies down, and that can be really, really sad, really challenging.
And what kind of hobbies do you enjoy doing? Because I know you got a lot on the go.
I do have a lot on the go. So painting is a pretty new hobby for me, but I've really been enjoying it. It's quite a bit easier on my body than some of my other hobbies, like knitting and video games. So when I'm experiencing more pain than usual, painting is usually the thing that I'm able to pick up.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you enjoy about having like a hobby in your life? Do you find any kind of like benefits, or what do you find like the most when you, especially with painting, because painting's new. So what have you found that it's brought to your life?
It really, this sounds so corny, but it really just like helps quiet my mind. Like, when I'm painting, I am just focusing specifically on what I'm doing in a particular moment. If I'm using a reference image, I'm like zoned in on that picture, right. And how to like best interpret that into my painting. And yeah, it's almost meditative, so very, very good for the mind.
Do you find that your experience with disability has changed how you view yourself?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely yes. In good ways and bad ways, I think. It has really made me realize how resilient I am. I've been through a lot,
right? Yeah.
And I've come out on the other side of some really challenging times. Particularly like when I get a big pain flare up now, I know I have some strategies to get through that.
Right.
Now I feel a lot less helpless. I know that I'm capable of making myself feel better for the most part. And in other ways, it can be very isolating and hard to feel understood by people who don't have a lot of experience with disability. It can be hard for people to understand that you can have good days for a really long time,
Yep.
and then suddenly it's bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that the isolation and struggling to feel understood is definitely challenging.
I definitely feel like one of the biggest things I talked about on difficulty settings was with my chronic pain, having this suddenly like fall in my lap like almost overnight.
Yeah.
Which you were there for the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I had already gone through it with like pseudotumor and migraines, and so it was almost like I was just waiting for the moment of like when I would have those management strategies. And I think that that's like really interesting that for you is like, even though, yeah, it sucks to be in pain so much, but comparing yourself to where you were like not even a year ago, it's like you feel so like almost proud.
Totally. Absolutely.
Of like how far you've come. And it's stuff that like people don't even see. It's like, okay, I know that this temperature of bathwater works for me.
Yeah.
Something like so small, like that helps so much. I think that's like interesting to hear when people find that like kind of small stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It can feel very silly. Like, oh, I can stand in front of the kitchen sink and do dishes in one stretch. And that is something that, you know, would boggle my mind a year ago that I would be able to do.
Yeah, never like in your mind were you thinking about that.
Totally.
And I'm glad that you are also in kind of like that position of where you're finding what works for you.
Totally.
Now I know one of your hobbies is weightlifting.
Yeah.
How do you think that has helped with chronic pain and getting your body moving?
It has helped so much, more than I ever expected. And you obviously know what it's like going through the medical system with
Yes.
a chronic illness.
Yes.
It's extremely misunderstood even by medical professionals, and you are kind of left feeling a little bit alone and like you need to completely figure things out on your own. And I was told by many doctors that simply exercising and getting moving would make me feel better, but that is so broad and vague. And for someone who deals with pain and the fear of re-injuring yourself, the thought of exercise is terrifying.
Yes.
It's paralyzing. So for a long time, I was really afraid of moving because it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt to even just go for a walk. It hurt sometimes to stand up from a chair.
Right.
So just being told to go out into the world and exercise was difficult. But I started working one-on-one with a trainer, which was very, very helpful. I felt like I needed someone to really guide me through every little movement so that I wouldn't hurt myself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's given me so much body awareness that I didn't have before. And now I feel like, oh, if my rotator cuff is hurting, I know how to move to kind of make it feel better, get it more in alignment. Whereas before I would kind of just be afraid to move at all.
Right, yeah. Because you it's almost like you feel that like tinge and then you're like, oh my God, I have to stop.
Exactly.
And I think that that's like, with my chronic pain, exercise is such a huge trigger for it. And I feel like I haven't found the right movement yet. I know like swimming is so good.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to even get to like
Yes.
a pool or even I would assume the gym.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm glad that you have found something that's working for you.
Yeah.
Did you find that it was like a hard transition into it, or did you find that it was like almost like an instantaneous result?
It was extremely hard. it was a long, slow process.
Right.
That was not linear. I had many backslides and many breaks from the gym, which I think it's important to sort of set those realistic expectations when you do have a disability, that your body is not going to work like everyone else's.
Right.
I mean, that's true of everyone, even without a disability, but I think especially so. You need to give yourself so much grace and so much time to start feeling good and start feeling better. So it was tough at the beginning when I could feel myself improving and improving and improving, and then all of a sudden I would just have a massive downslide. And that still happens now. But again, I know that I have strategies to sort of get myself out of that deep, dark, scary hole.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you, how did your disability first present itself?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting question. And obviously I've really had to look back at my sort of whole entire life to sort of figure out if I've always had this stuff going on, and I think I have. I remember having like horrible, debilitating headaches when I was a kid, like 9, 10, 11. And looking back now, I know that those were migraines. And I dealt with a lot of repetitive strain injuries when I was a teenager, like carpal tunnel. And that, you know, looking back now, I can sort of understand that that would have been triggered by my chronic illness, my fibromyalgia.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of just those everyday little aches and pains that I thought were normal, that I thought everyone went through. They really, anytime I have had a really stressful period in my life in adulthood, that's when things really just took a turn for the worse and everything just kind of got cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stress-induced chronic pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you said that, because I also believe that I had a lot of chronic pain issues when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it led up to me having pseudotumor.
Right.
And then suddenly I was like, I can't ignore these anymore.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's interesting when people talk about having disability for a long time. They're always like, oh, I always thought this was like normal.
Yes.
And I think that that's insane to think about, that people don't have pain.
Yeah.
Like in their everyday life, like they may have aches or pains, but they don't feel like they have the flu 24/7.
Yeah, and they can usually think like, oh, I twisted my ankle yesterday, that's why it hurts.
Yeah,
like there's always kind of a cause for it. Yeah.
And I just think that that's so interesting. I do think it's interesting. And I when I was younger, I know I had really bad anxiety and I had really bad stress. But I remember I talked to my sister about it when I was younger. I said, I feel like I'm going to throw up when I'm at school. And my sister was like, yeah, I feel like that too. And I said, okay, I guess everyone just feels like they're going to throw up all the time.
Totally.
And I think that's interesting as you get older and you start talking to more people and you start realizing that, oh yeah, this is not everyone's experience.
Yeah, and you don't need to just live like that.
Yeah, you don't need to live in pain a long time. And I think that is really like important with people who are starting their journey with disability and they're starting to realize that things are different. Like there's options. Yeah.
Totally. And I mean, people with chronic pain, their bodies literally interpret pain differently. Like I don't know about you, but I've always been told by other people that my pain tolerance is really high. And
Yes.
It's like, well, yeah, I'm in pain every day,
All
all
the
day.
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
like something that might be an 8 to someone else is like every day for me.
Yeah. Do you ever hesitate to tell people about your disability?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. It's really tough because it is such a big part of my life and my identity and who I
Right.
am. But I have experienced people treating me differently after I've told them. Not even in a super intentionally cruel way or anything, but I think just a lot of people don't understand what it means to be disabled, and that it's not always this big, scary, horrible thing that needs like a huge amount of pity or anything like that. But yes, yeah, definitely.
And what kind of ways do you manage and cope with your disability right now? Like, what kind of strategies?
So exercise definitely is a big one for me. And staying on top of like my physical therapy homework,
Right.
which is not always easy. It's a lot of really like kind of boring micro movements and stuff. And it can be very easy for me to get like tunnel vision into my hobbies like knitting or painting. And it's so important for me to actually take breaks, do those little stretches, get up and walk around a little bit. Yeah, but I have a lot of braces for my joints. A lot of my joints are hypermobile, so
Right.
when I'm holding a pencil or a paintbrush or something, it's just really important to keep my joints stable and in the correct position. So yeah, that is super helpful. I also sleep in wrist braces pretty much every night now. And at first that was a pretty big bummer for me, but it helps. It helps.
I think that for me, the biggest thing is I'm so stubborn. So when somebody like suggests something and then it does help, I'm always like, well, okay.
Yeah. Like, it helped this time, but
It doesn't help every time.
yeah, exactly.
It's so hard for me to admit when something's working, especially like when it's my mom or like Cameron that suggests something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like, all right, okay.
Fine.
I guess they do know best.
Yeah. It's also sometimes just frustrating to have to admit that you do need those.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Yes, those aids.
That suddenly, I think that was like the biggest thing for me when I started walking with like a cane, especially when I'm really sore. And if I go out and I'm stubborn and I don't bring it, it's like I regret it now when I don't have it. So like I always have to bring it with me.
Totally.
Um,
It's tough when your body used to be able to do things that
Yeah.
it can't anymore.
I think that's like the big thing is you're always kind of, I think some people don't realize how much you almost like mourn your old life and how it was before.
Absolutely.
Like that's a big thing for me when I have kind of like a big breakdown, a big bottle up of emotions. It's usually because it was something that I could do before.
Totally.
And I can't do anymore.
Totally.
So you have a couple different hobbies. Do you have a favorite like memory with any of them specifically? Like a favorite painting, or like that you lifted a certain amount of weight, or you knitted something that you love?
Oh my gosh, yeah, good question. I have a lot of really good memories of my hobbies. My dad was a painter, and unfortunately, I didn't really get into painting until after he passed away, but painting now, I totally feel that connection with him. And I'm even using some of his his supplies and stuff.
Yeah.
Even this paint palette was his. So it's really nice that this hobby that is getting me, you know, grounded in my mind, in my body, is giving me that little bit of connection to him. As for weightlifting, I'm making quite a bit of progress now. So I do Olympic weightlifting,
Right.
and I recently did a personal best on my snatch lift. I was able to snatch 37 kilos.
That is crazy.
It is really crazy. It's really crazy. And again, if you had told me a year ago that I would be lifting a giant barbell above my head, I would have laughed in your face. But after a lot of hard work and again, a very non-linear journey, I'm really making moves. It's super cool.
With gym work, any gym work, I think with any hobby, there's always going to be a community that's around it. How do you feel the gym community looks and sees your disability?
Great question. It was obviously something I was so afraid
Right.
of
Yes.
going into it. I knew that it was going to be very important for my, you know, my injury recovery and for my general sort of well-being and pain management. I knew it was going to
Right.
be important for me to start exercising. And honestly, everyone who deals with chronic pain knows this.
Yeah.
But it can be so scary to walk into a gym full of these athletic people and all these machines you've never seen before,
Right,
and
right.
just say, okay, I'm off to exercise. Like, that's terrifying. And yeah, I was really worried about if I was going to be met with understanding or if I was going to have to deal with the, you know, the stigma of being disabled. And I was worried I would be taking up space in the gym, you know, lifting baby weights to
Right.
like try and heal my joints. But I found the overwhelming majority of people, at least in the gym that I went to, they're just so stoked to see anyone walk in. Generally speaking, there's always going to be jerks. There's always going to be people who make you feel unwelcome. But I have come across just like the vast majority of very helpful, very kind people who know that we all start somewhere. And also, usually when you tell someone at the gym that you deal with chronic pain and disability, they're even more impressed and amazed that
Right.
that you're even there, because they know how much hard work it takes to get up and go to the gym. So to be in pain and to have, you know, these physical issues with your body, it's usually it's met with sort of awe, and I've been told that I'm inspirational. That is, you know, that is something that I think a lot of people with disabilities hear, and it
Yes.
can feel a little bit othering sometimes. But I think for the most part, it's coming from a good place.
Thank you so much for being here for episode 5 of Difficulty Settings. I hope that you can be here for episode 6, because this is a 2-part episode where we will be back talking to Chantal about how she is part of my support system. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.